With just simple edits, you can go from a render that looks like this to this one. And stay tuned, because later in the video I'll show you all the render settings I did to achieve this result. Hey, what's up guys, Nuno here. As you know, I've been actively using Lumion for several years. Today I wanted to share my 7 reasons why I like working with Lumion software. And I'll show you how you can quickly make a render look realistic using Lumion Styles preset as a base for our project. Let me start by quickly telling you my story with Lumion. I first came to the 3D world back in 2001 when I was playing a video game called Unreal Tournament. This game had a level editor called Unreal Editor. You could edit and build new levels there. The interface was quite complex, and at that time you couldn't just go and watch a video tutorial on YouTube. There was no YouTube. So you had to read the documentation and go through a bit of trial and error. This editor became later what you know now as Unreal Engine. But that's how I first learned about 3D, building new levels to play online with friends. I worked for many years in the video game industry, but I also had a client who wanted me to render a big apartment complex, and I was trying to do this in Unreal Engine 4. So I was using software from the video game industry for architectural visualizations. And it would take me a lot of time, especially if you count all the renders for client revisions. That's when a friend told me about Lumion. And after quickly testing it, I saw that I could make realistic renders in seconds, saving me a lot of time. And I learned the interface in just about one day by watching Lumion documentation tutorials. With Lumion interface being quite intuitive, you can easily get acquainted with the software in just about one day, making it quite a nice solution for architects and designers who want to create quality renders in no time. So the first reason I really like Lumion is that it has a short learning curve. And it has a very intuitive interface, so anyone can learn it in no time. The second reason is the huge library. Lumion has almost 7,000 objects in its library. The ones that I really enjoy and I'm constantly using is the fine detail nature. These are high quality animated vegetation assets that bring that extra detail into your scene. I'm also using the 3D people, and let me give you a quick tip here. I like to use them when they are not facing directly to the camera, because the face is what always looks the least realistic, so if you can avoid that, do it. And lastly, decoration objects. In my projects, I often need to add that humanization touch to the scenes, and with these objects, I can do that quickly without searching for new 3D assets in online libraries. I'm not using large objects like sofas or beds, for example. For that, I think you can find better solutions in these online libraries, but for small objects, I think it gets the job done. And if by any chance you don't find in this objects library what you are looking for, you can always import your own and build your custom library, similar to like I have here on mine. And you can check my video on where to get the best 3D models online. I'll leave a link in the description down below. And reason number 3, it's styles. Lumion has 8 ready-to-use render presets for different times of day and even some artistic ones. If you don't have any in-depth know-how about Lumion software, you can always just apply one of these styles and be sure that you have a render available in seconds. This works great if you have to send this urgently to a client, but I always recommend knowing exactly what each effect does. And I know that many people in the forums or Facebook groups, they ask for Lumion presets every time they see a nice render, but that just works for that specific scene. You need to change the parameters for each new scene to have a realistic render. And if you need to understand what each effect does and master Lumion, I invite you to join my Lumion Render course. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Let me just show you how all of this looks if you just apply the effects without tweaking any settings. You see immediately that all of these presets lack one very important part, the 2-point perspective. This is an effect that makes the vertical line straight, giving more dimension and a dramatic mood. And here you can see I'm just tweaking this effect a little bit. By the way, now would be a great time for you to pause the video and screenshot some of the settings that I'm doing here. And I'd like to remind you that I'm just using the Lumion style preset, and I'll just adjust these settings without adding anything else except the 2-point perspective. The idea here is to show you how fast you can make a decent render to send to your client, while using the Lumion presets as a base. And we can go from this scene to this one just by using the ready-to-use style and changing a little bit the parameters in about 5 minutes. And reason number 4, it's materials. Lumion comes packed with thousands of ready-to-use materials. You can quickly add new materials to your model and find the right one. I want to give you a quick tip here. When you see this number after the material name, it means the resolution of the textures. You have 1K or 2K textures. You can use 1K for objects that are further from the camera and 2K for objects that are close, since it has better resolution. But if you want to use a specific texture that you found online, you can also do that. Let's load this texture I have here, and Lumion even creates automatically the normal map. And what exactly is a normal map, you ask? Here's an example of a normal map. Looks like this strange texture with a purple color. This texture stores light information. This makes the model look like it has a lot of geometry, when in reality, as in this example, it's a simple flat plane. After this, you can adjust the reflection and gloss values to see if a material has more shininess. For example, if this was a metal material, I would put the reflectivity slider all the way to the maximum. And here's another gold tip for you. Go to the weathering tab and you will find a slider called Edges. If you increase this, the edges in the model will be slightly rounded, and this helps with the realism of your 3D renders. In the real world, there's nothing with 90-degree sharp edges. And now let's move to the reason number 5, stability. This is very important, stability. You can work in Lumion building your own scene, importing quite heavy 3D models, rendering, making videos, and the software will not crash. I even had a situation where I didn't save, as you can see here on this photo, and it was still up and running. For me, this is a big thing. I feel comfortable working on it without thinking of saving every 5 minutes. Yes, I'm looking at you, Adobe Premiere. And reason number 6, it's rendering. Rendering in Lumion, both image and video, it's really fast. Rendering a 4K image takes on average 30 seconds. And with this, you can quickly change the mood of your scene by simply adding an effect to turn your scene into a winter snow environment, for example. There are also artistic styles like outlines or sketch. This will give you a more artistic touch to your image. I can also make a video in Lumion quite easily. I just move the camera, store the position, then move to another position and store it again. And that's it. Lumion will create automatically the camera animation for me. And bonus tip. It's possible to change the type of animation by clicking these icons here. If you want a smooth linear movement throughout the animation, or if you prefer the camera to have some slight acceleration at the beginning of the clip. And the reason number 7, it's large community. Lumion has probably one of the largest communities, and with this you can always find someone to talk to help you out with some questions and doubts you may have. You have the Lumion Community Forum, where you can discuss Lumion things, share models, materials, and even job listings. And also many Facebook groups with thousands of members. In these groups I usually post my works and tutorials. You can get some tips and feedback for your projects, and there are also some job listings too. I invite you to join my public Facebook group, Lumion World Experts, with more than 1,000 members already. These were my reasons why I like working with Lumion software. What about yours? Let me know in the comments below why you use Lumion for your renders. Before you go, check out this video and that video as well. That will help you achieve better 3D renderings. And I'll see you in the next one.